I wonder about a lot of things that can be done in those kinds of situations, but I wonder also in a sense if there's frustration that comes from younger generations of scientists. And for me, one of the reasons very, very much dislike DEI as it currently is, and have gotten much more vocal in my own in my own workplace, is because like up all the way through graduate school, all of my mentors, primary mentors, were men and things along that line. And never once ever did I ever have to deal with sexism in my career. I had it great. I didn't have one of those kinds of remarks or things like that, and I understand that's not true for everybody, but, um, never did I ever have to deal with sexism until I had to deal with folks who had their heads so buried deep in the DEI kind of mindset that they didn't realize that some of the things that they were saying to me was very, very sexist. And so that's like one of my favorites is a site visit I was at some a couple of months ago. Well, you know how it is as a woman in science. No, I don't. I don't have the same experiences that you do, and that's a very bad assumption to make. So I wonder how much of that is going to eventually going to turn off folks from going to
Yeah.
that profession.
Well, that's a very good point because we hear all these lengthy victimhood stories, how it's like again published in Science and Nature, all these long grievance stories about how it's horrible to be a woman in science or black in science or what's not, and they are not supported by objective reality. And there are actually quantitative studies that show it. So very recently, right after our merit, the paper by Sessi and co-workers was published. And what this paper is about, it's a meta-analysis study of papers purporting anti-women bias in STEM. And they did very thorough study. I don't know if you read this paper yet. You might have seen it.
I did read it. I hadn't had the
Yeah.
chance to talk about it on the channel yet.
So excellent paper, and they basically. And what is interesting, two of the co-authors went into this collaboration that sure that there are biases and partially based on their own experiences because again early generations experience this, it's real, I experienced it myself, my colleagues even more. So but anyway, after they looked at the data in I think 5 domains: publication, recommendation letter, hiring, teaching evaluation, and salaries. And after they did proper analysis, controlling for confounding factors, the way things should be done, they came with the conclusion that in the past 10 years, there are no biases against women except for teaching evaluations, maybe. And as far as hiring is concerned, there is a bias for women.
Mhm.
And I think it's a very important paper that documents that climate has changed and some things that were prevalent, they are no longer true. They are not a reality. But of course, DI people will not like this idea because if problem is solved, why do we need DI? So because their livelihood depends on racism and sexism and what's not. And if all the barriers are gone, if there are no biases, if we achieved, ideal world, these people will do something to kind of bring them back because they will have to give up their salaries.
Mhm. People who are there because, there's a problem supposedly that they have to fix.
Mhm. Yeah, and then they like to promote these ideas, which I think are wrong. Well, we know that they're not supported by the data, but what you said is very true, that they will actually may discourage some people to go into the science, right? So saying, okay, why would I want to go to this horrible place dominated by racist, sexist, and sexual harassers?
Well, and in the other vein, the other thing that I know has been occurring to me is because there are some grant proposals that, require a section now, not necessarily describing your fidelity to DEI principles or anything like that, but describing how your research team is diverse and diverse in that very
Mhm.
skin deep kind of sense. Um, and I hate that this has occurred to me a few times, in that when I've been asked to be on proposals, and I'm pretty sure if some of my peers were thinking about it, they might think similarly. But it's occurred to me that sometimes I'm often now left asking the question of, are you asking me to be part of your proposal because I'm a woman, or because I'm very accomplished in my field? And it's actually really concerning to me that at times, because of the way things have pervaded in academia and in the grant writing world, that I can't tell the difference. I'm not
Mhm.
sure what the difference is, and it's kind of discouraging, because it does really force a bit of imposter syndrome, particularly for like young scientists who are a bit new in it. That, like, well, am I good, or are you hiring me? Or are you asking me to do this because I'm X? I'm
Yeah,
passionate.
same goes with the conference invitation. Are you inviting me because I am a woman, or because you want to hear from me? Same is true with awards
Yep.
and honors now. So now you cannot tell, did I get my recent award because I am so good, or because I am a woman? I do not know anymore. And that actually is, I think, very damaging by creating biases.
Mm,
So something that we were so good to dismantle, biases against women, perceiving women as being of a less capable scientist and all that. So I thought that we achieved great progress by removing this misperception. Now, with all the social engineering policies, people are not stupid. So they see that it's happening. Now, what kind of message does it send? It sends that women are not capable to compete in the open marketplace of ideas. That's why we use this social engineering. It means women are not good. So it's really, instead of removing biases, it creates and revives biases, and yeah, and of course, for individuals, yeah. So it's hurtful. I mean, now I really mean hurtful,
yeah,
not
no, hurtful in a real genuine sense, not
in a
just
real,
I'm
yeah,
offended.
in a real genuine sense. And it's damaging much broader, because it implants these ideas and perpetuates them, that you know
Did you like that video? Are you curious about the rest of the video? Because that clip came from an episode of SciChat Saturday, and the full episode is linked in the description. As always, stay curious.